Good morning, guys. We're out here in Sardinia again. Brad just made his second landing out here, which was great. We're just dropping off more materials for, I think maybe a school. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask. I don't actually know what it's for. We're gonna unload that. Hopefully get some coffee, get out of here. It's a beautiful day. Throw the drone in for you guys because I don't really have any drone footage out of here yet. So let's get unloaded. So I was asking what this cargo is actually for. It's actually for a new literacy building just down the hill. I was gonna fly my drone and show you guys, but thank you DJI, it did not work today. Need to update the app or something like that. But Brad is just about finished. We've just loaded in, I think, 5 bags. We've got 1 passenger heading back to Goroka. So we're gonna go ahead and pack up. We've got pretty strong winds. You can see the windsock way down there, sticking out to the side. So I'm glad we got in when we did. The winds kind of here just swirl around. We've got a big, huge bowl all through here, so the winds don't really ever know what to do here. All right, so all this clay-looking stuff is so slippery. This is right where we turn around at the top of the runway, and you can see it's almost like ice up here, just because it's just ever so slightly damp. Makes it hard to hold your brakes and get going down the runway though, that's for sure. All right, kids, look out.
The sooner we can get off this hill, the better before we make any calls, because it does not take long before all of a sudden you've got another 100 pounds or more on one side.
We're just gonna use up all of this space, right?
Yep, just don't hit our wing on the edge. That extra foot's not worth a dent.
Be 6622 November Tango Echo taxi. Airport speed November Tango Echo taxi Sardinia Goroka 3 POB. November Tango Echo.
Look at the windsock, it was going completely straight out. Because the winds are pretty strong that way. Yesterday we turned into a slow wind up to the left, up to Mariwaka. When it's strong like that, I turn to the right, so for one I'm going into the wind. Because we're not that heavy today, but we're heavy enough that with a 20 knot tailwind all of a sudden, or maybe 15 there, it's sticking straight out. You're definitely gonna feel a little nerve-wracking going up into how such a tight of an area it is up there. So if you head off to the right and just do a big loop, and then you can still head towards the Mariwaka Gap, but then you've got so much more space over top of that tight valley around the corner.
Mariwaka was 8,300, so we've got 3,000 feet to gain.
We went through 8,600.
We went through at 86, that's right. Yeah, so yeah, the right turn will make it a little
3,000
easier.
feet to climb.
Okay, so we'll say our board point is that walkway or this first cone over here, kind of for 2 visual cues. If we don't have airspeed alive by that time, we will abort full reverse, max braking, flaps up, and stop on the runway. If we are going off the edge, cut off, pull off, turn off, V2 and master. Okay, so pilot loss after takeoff, we're gonna make a right-hand turn pitching for 85. We'll consider EPL, consider feather. If it's not working, cut off, pull off, turn off. Flaps are 85 and 80. We'll get our V2, on right here. ELT is right here. Make a radio call, potentially, if we have time, master off before we touch the ground. Okay, we'll do 1330 for 1380.
And then also, the second we get around that last tree up there, we're going to have, a 15 to 20 knot crosswind, potentially. I mean, that's what it's showing, at least in the windsock. So the second you get airborne, you're going to have to probably immediately start crabbing into the wind. If not, if you're not airborne by then, we should be airborne just as the cresting of the hill, I'm guessing. It'll probably just start bouncing you off. At about that point, I'd start getting a little bit of correction in, otherwise it's just going to immediately start pushing you off pretty strong.
Okay. And we'll rotate at 58. So we've
you can also see this side slope right here. If we start off like this, it will help you from wanting the airplane to just start pulling you off down to the left until you get past your safer bore point, and then you can roll it back out. But just having them like that will help a little bit with you not just wanting to go off to the left. Okay.
Once we get past the safer bore point, we'll roll it out a little bit, but then we're going to be rolling it back in as we get some of the crosswind. Inlet, prompt condition, flaps, verified, tools locked, harnesses are locked, checklist is complete. 1300 for 1350, rotating 58. And if we start rolling, we'll let her go. Okay, there's 1360. Airspeed's alive, we're continuing.
And then now that we're like a whole 1,000 feet over top of it, and it's much more open, and the air's not like swirling around as much, the winds are dropping down already, now this is about the time I'd be like, okay, now I'm not just like sitting here rocking all around, now let's get the flaps out and get cleaned up, and then start looking for where you want to go and planning your turns so that you get to 8,600 without having to do a bunch of 360s once we get up to the Mariwaka.
This is Mariwaka right here, right?
No. It's around the corner. You can't see it. Where that little bit of blue sliver is, it's around that corner.
Gotcha.
If we would have turned left, this valley that comes down here, it's almost a Venturi, so we had 19 knots just over here over the water. It could potentially even get stronger, and then it kind of curves around a few times. It gets really turbulent through there, and when you're heavy and you're 20 degrees and you're going 85 knots, it can get borderline scary kind of feeling. Runway, I'm checking to see if I'm like, am I going to make the gap? We already got like 10,000 feet up here, and you can see when you're going to get to that. So that's just a real quick, like, rule of thumb, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to make it, so we can get going on our way, or no, I'm not even close to being able to make it through the gap.
Okay, yeah. Or if you needed to look a little closer, you can move your altitude down to what the gap is.
Exactly.
Right? And then you can see a little bit more closely.
Yeah. We were talking with the guys out there just regarding the literacy school and just a little bit more information so I could give to you guys. But there's 2 different literacy schools there, and then there's also another public school as well. And this literacy school is basically going to be teaching them how to read and write and talk place in their like native tongue out there. And I think they said they start them around like 7 years old, I think, on average. So once that's done, which is usually 1.5 to 2 years maximum, once they know how to read and write in their own language, then they go to the secondary school, which is basically they start learning how to read and write in English. That's another couple years as well. So yeah, so our passenger's a first-time flyer. Never been in an airplane before, so hopefully he's not too nervous or gets sick along the way. So if we're at 8,800, looking at the clouds ahead, what are your thoughts as should we go to 10,000? What do you think the clouds are going to do the further on as we get along this way? Do we expect them to clear? Are they going to get thicker or what? What are your ideas?
I guess I'm not expecting it to get much thicker. There was some stuff. It was close to our altitude at 9,000 on the way here. I would like to go ahead and climb to 10,000 and see what it looks like at that altitude.
Okay. Just looking here at the terrain, we came down that massive valley. My guess is this is probably going to be open in the massive valley, even though there might be a lot of clouds everywhere else on all the ridges. That's what I would expect. It's always good to have something to expect so that you can make adjustments from there.
There were some clouds, I think, around Kodiak.
Yeah, there probably will be, because all that's rising terrain all the way up from 7,500 all the way up to 8,000, so.
Yeah, okay. This will be 6622, November Tango Echo departure.
November Tango Echo once again.
November Tango Echo departed to Sindini, time 26 on track 331, climbing maintaining 10,000, estimating Goroka, time 52.
November Tango Echo.
All right.
November Tango Echo, lower for the traffic.
November Tango Echo.
All right, now that we're up in level and everything, let's talk about the takeoff. First, what did you think? How it went? Next time you do this, any changes for next time? Things like that.
I was a little bit slow on my continue point. I didn't notice until after my committal point that airspeed was live. I didn't call it out on time, so I need to be a little bit more on the ball with that.
And what do you think could help you be more on the ball with that? Like,
I guess just thinking about it. Like, as I'm letting off the brakes, thinking,
yeah,
watch that point coming to me, and then make that decision. That needs to be my priority. Once the power's set, need to be.
That's exactly what I do. Like, I work out, like, maybe like, let's say you break down a takeoff in 5 steps, and I like think about those 5 steps before I even release brakes. Okay, I got my continue, and then first I have this, continue, we're rolling out, then I'm gonna have crosswind, and the whole time we're gonna be just keeping a little bit of back pressure. And the second I get off, I'm gonna expect the wind to hit me pretty hard and push me off. Like, those are how I think.
Okay.
And that way, it's not like you've talked about it, but like so I feel like sometimes, like, even for myself, you can go through the motions and saying your you know, rote go-around procedures or whatever like that, but you haven't really, like, really solidified that you're going to actually do it. You've just said what you're going to do, kind of thing. Yeah. So, okay, continue. So, just talking about committal areas, or continuing areas, I should say, and then what else? What else do you think the rest of it went from? Basically, you're continuing on.
You mentioned bringing the nose up a little bit. I didn't respond to that, I don't think. I was kind of transfixed on maintaining center line, watching my airspeed for rotate. But you were just saying bring the nose up just to relieve nose pressure, and just to keep it a little less friction.
All of our takeoffs are basically short field, soft field takeoffs combined. Like, that's just what all of them are. So the only time I don't have that pressure off for takeoff is coming out of a paved runway. Everywhere else, I'm having that, just trying to skip the nose across the ground. For one, your acceleration is going to be better because you have less drag and you're not just sitting there just, and then I know for myself, what I used to do is I used to almost try to fight it, like kind of like counteract it, but then when you're like half a second behind of what actually the plane needs to be done. But if on every takeoff, you just lock in your arm and just get it right there where you want to, it'll just skip across the ground, and it'll actually be a much smoother takeoff, because then your back wheels will just kind of glide over it. It's just, you're gonna see a big difference. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, like the second you get off the nose, it's like, wow, it just got smooth all of a sudden.
Right.
And you felt it taking off out of some of those Civic ones. The second you get it to that right perfect, it's like, oh my gosh, like it's just like it accelerates so much faster.
Especially with like draggy grass.
Yeah, it kind of goes the same even when the wind is just bouncing all over the place. Yeah, so I guess for me, like starting off at the top of the hill, you know how slippery it was, and when you added the power, you immediately started slipping? Okay, so with that any type of slippery things like that, if you introduce your power much slower, because you know how you get to a certain point and it goes like that, and it almost just breaks you loose, and then you had to go. Whereas if you bring the power in much more smoothly as you're holding the brakes, then you can get to a much higher power setting before it starts sliding.
Because I think it broke like at 1,000.
It broke the second it kind of like surged for a second, and that's when it, you know how, well, even when we take off out of Goroka, you bring it up and then as you come, it's like the quicker you do it, it almost like just, it always goes whoa, and then you feel like it goes. So that will help a lot in that respect. I thought you did fine on the correction all the way down. I've already said something about just the nose wheel, and then I didn't really mention it because I didn't think about it. We haven't been on to Sunday in a long time. That's your performance no matter what. Okay. If you have any amount of weight, you kind of take off and you kind of almost just follow the terrain down and sink down, because the second you get past the hill right there, like the winds immediately change. And it's no longer a headwind, it's like a crosswind, and then almost kind of turns into a tailwind. Like once you get off the end of the runway, now the winds are actually pushing almost behind you. So, yeah, I've had it to where I made a mistake and somebody else was writing down numbers for me, and I had an extra bag of coffee that I didn't know I had on there. And I went all the way down the low spot and didn't get my wheels off until the windsock. It was by far the scariest takeoff I've ever done. Like, I was like, dude, I'm past my committed, like, I have to go. Basically what I did is I just kept adding power and brought my torque up to probably like, I don't know, 12 or whatever, what is it? I'm trying to think of what it'd be. Like my ITT up to like 765, something like that. We go up to 790, but I'm like, I need the extra power. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of margin instead of 790, but yeah, it was a very, very uncomfortable takeoff. Yeah, you can always kind of just take off and then sink back down, and that's why I'm saying if you keep your 85 in, as you're rocking around and as the wind doesn't really know what to do, once you get turned, I'll keep my 85 turned down the valley, and then once I'm on my climb, I'm heading straight into the wind, then I can just start cleaning up at a more reasonable rate, but then it also gives you more time to really focus on what's going on around you rather than your speed and your flaps, you know?
Yeah, okay.
15 miles Goroka, contact Goroka Town, 118.7.
15 miles to run Goroka, 118.7, over Takeoff Echo.
If you view or have your own airplane, or you're a student or something and would like to pick up one of these checklist boxes, it's basically a takeoff and landing flip checklist, and it has 8 different items, but then there's usually about 2 on each one. And it comes with 3 different faceplates, one for like a 172, 152, one for just a complex piston that you could use, you know, in a 210 or all the way up to something with a multi-engine, retractable gears. And then also you have one for a turbine engine as well. So if you are a pilot, this would be a really great tool to really keep your eyes up and out. And it's so much easier than having a paper checklist where you can miss items, or you can lose your place, or you're taking so much time searching on your paper checklist on what it is. Or even if you're using just a flow alone, there's still things that you can forget, where this is a nice visual cue along with what you're actually already using.
And just to add to that, I never had anything like this until I joined the mission, and it was extremely helpful in my opinion. I won't go back. I'll use this forever. I
know, I felt like the same when I was even instructing with students, and they're like going through their acronym to make sure that they've covered everything on downwind, and it's so much easier just to forget things when this, it frees up your brain and it allows your workload management to go down, which allows just your situational awareness to go up and actually know what's going on around you.
Goroka Tower. Morning again, November Tango Echo, 15 miles to the southeast, 8,200 on descent, estimating circuit time 52.
November Tango Echo, Goroka Tower, runway 35 right, QNH 1018, track for final, report final.
1018. Check and report right base for runway 35 right.
Remember, Tango Echo, your current position.
Tango Echo, turning right base for runway 35 right.
Sierra India Lima, initially hold position. Break November Tango Echo, runway 35 right, clear to land.
Go to land 35 right, November Tango Echo. Just maintain 56, slow down a little bit. We need 67 knots. Checklist is complete. 2 knot right crosswind, 5 knot tailwind. And we'll start coming down at this
500.
A little bit fast. Better 50 foot per minute descent. Rudder, front tailwind. That's 2 airspeed. On the numbers. Feels like a right crosswind still. My eyes outside.
Thanks guys for taking the time to watch this video out of San Denny. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Next time I'm gonna make sure my drone is working before I head out there. I think that's like the second time I've missed some drone footage when I'd like to get it out there, but give the video a thumbs up, give Brad a thumbs up for his takeoff out of there. And like I said, if you're interested in picking up one of these or some sunglasses, I got these on my site as well. Glass lenses, and really have done me well. So thanks again, see you guys next time.
Stay